Pete, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you on. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate it very much.
Of course. So, I came across your content on Instagram, on YouTube, and you're very big on, abundance mindset. You talk about like manifestation, how it works, reality creation, all those good stuff. And I feel like a lot of people nowadays are misguided on those topics. And that's why I have you on right here. So, what do you feel like is like the biggest roadblock for people to experience abundance?
The biggest roadblock is, or the biggest block in general, is the perception, and I stress the word perception, that it is outside of us, or that is something that we need to chase, acquire, or become, and that is an inaccurate perception. The flow of abundance is actually what we are. It's not only within us, it is us, and there is absolutely no separation. So what really needs to happen for people to experience that flow of abundance is to stop perceiving it as outside of themselves. And in large part, that is really all that needs to happen. Is they need to see through the illusion of subject-object paradigm that there's separation between them and the abundance they desire to experience. It's actually, not only is it within them, it is them.
I see. So you're saying basically they see it separate as themselves. They don't see it. It's you're part of it. You're part of that abundance. They just have to embody it.
Correct. They have to remove all of the things they've put in the way of that. And for most of this, if I'm going to distill this down, I would say it's the illusion of separation. It's the illusion that you're separate from anything or anyone in this third dimensional reality. Once we understand that, and this needs to be tangibly embodied to understand everything is one thing. And until we understand that everything is one thing, we're going to keep creating the illusion of separation. And in the words of I'll quote Rumi, okay, because this applies. Rumi had this quote about love. He said, "Your job is not to seek for love, but to remove all the barriers that you've created between yourself and love." That's exactly how it works with everything, because love is actually the only true concrete reality is love. And so when we remove all the barriers we put between ourselves and love and abundance and so-called others and everything we desire to experience, when those barriers that we construct ourselves are no longer there, and we realize that everything is one thing, there's no more restrictions to that flow of abundance that we actually are.
Perfectly said. So why do you think people put those barriers on in the first place? Is it like childhood programming? Is it school? Is it just the content they consume? What is it?
It's mainly programming that we've received since we've been here, and I want to make a clarification. We are creator beings, and we create at multiple different levels. From our third dimensional perspective, we do not have access to our higher understandings of why we would come into this third dimensional matrix and experience all this separation and suffering and delusion and misperception of separation. But it's an experience we wanted to have. We wanted to go from the experience of separation and being programmed into separation and scarcity and lack and suffering to the experience of oneness, okay, which is the truth. And we are making that progression, and this is what we call typically ascension, the ascension process, where we go from separateness, that everything is outside of me, which is a misperception, to oneness, that everything is one thing, and there's no separation between myself and so-called others. There's no separation between myself and what I desire to experience. In the Bible, the most important thing you need to understand about manifestation and abundance is in a Bible verse, Matthew 25:29. Actually, that's another big one, but I'll go with Mark 11:24. Mark 11:24 says, "Whatever you ask for in prayer, know that you've received it, and it shall be yours." What that means is, don't create the separation between what it is that you desire to experience and yourself, and there won't be any separation.
Yeah, I see that whenever people pray, they pray from a state of lack. They pray from a state of neediness, and they don't pray as it's already received. They don't pray that it's already fulfilled. And I feel like it's like a cycle that I think I learned this. It's called the annoying law of the universe, that basically the universe gives you what you are until you change. And it kind of is basically similar to that, correct?
Absolutely, that we don't get more of what we want. We get more and more of what we are. So when we are whole and complete, when we perceive ourselves and embody our wholeness and our completion, if we can start with the starting place of nothing can make me any happier than I am right now, there is no lack in that vibration. No lack will be emanated to the universe, projected out to the universe, and then reflected back, because the universe, as we know, is a mirror. This is the basic as within, so without understanding of the way the universe works. It functions as a mirror to reflect our internal understanding of who we are as the creator. And when we don't know we're the creator, we're going to be vibrating. We're going to be starting from a place of lack, scarcity, and separation. And that is going to be projected out and reflected back. Invariably, that's what the universe is for. Its function is as a mirror to mirror back our state of being and level of consciousness and our awareness of who we are as the creator. Once we know who we are as the creator, and that is literally what this book, my first book, which is called Creation is Finished. This entire book is about understanding who you are as the creator, because what Neville Goddard called our self-concept, our understanding of who we are as the creator, that literally creates our reality for us. And when we don't know who we are as the creator, when we believe that everything is outside of us and we're separate from everything, and we have to fight, claw, and scratch, or engage in hustle culture to acquire the things that are actually a part of us, then we're going to create all this separation between what it is that we're going to start from a place of incompletion, and the universe will only be able to mirror that incompletion.
I see. So why do you feel like a lot of people tend to resort to grind culture, hard work culture, rather than actually embodying that abundance first within themselves?
So for a lot of us, the hustle culture and work hard to get it, and nothing comes easy, and it's going to be a struggle, and the harder you work, the better that is an experience that a lot of us desire to have. Ultimately, we are all having the experiences that we blueprinted in before we incarnated, and for a lot of people, that's an experience that they want to have. They want to go through not just separateness to oneness, but they want to go through struggle and suffering, and struggling when you understand from the highest enlightened perspective is a state of being, and state of being is what creates matter. So a lot of us want to go through that. We got to work hard to get it. That's the third dimensional experience of separation. We got to work hard to achieve things. And ultimately, those things we achieve as we progress up in our ascension process, those things are going to be taken away because they were inauthentic to begin with. They were acquired in an inauthentic way. They were achieved in an inauthentic way, and they were achieved and acquired for an inauthentic version of ourselves. And as we become more authentic, the manifestation process becomes more effortless, because we understand that what we are seeking for has always been a part of us, that there's no separation between whatever we desire is given. There's no separation between ourselves and our desires, ourselves and what we desire to experience. It's all a part of us. And ultimately, as we become fifth dimensional creator beings, we understand that the entire experience is actually happening from within us and unfolding out from within.
Mm. So I feel like a lot of people tend to, it's going to sound a bit backwards, but I feel like people, the longer route is doing the hustle culture. And I feel like they rather kind of go through the harder route, but the most effective way is being what they wish, or just right now, rather than thinking they have to like get this feeling and then they can be that person. Because at the end of the day, like, we're seeking a feeling. And from what you said, it's like you already are blessed with that abundance. You're already blessed with that positive feeling that you're looking for to get from a certain thing. But if you can give it to yourself right now, you're basically there.
Yeah, so when we are operating as third dimensional separate egoic beings, separate from everything and everyone, we're believing in the illusion of separation. Our ego gets a tremendous amount of gratification from working hard and then achieving something, right? It doesn't get any gratification from knowing that what I desire to experience, what I authentically desire to experience, is actually a part of me already. So when we're operating as separate egoic beings, there's a lot of gratification for our ego in working hard and achieving something and competing with others and outworking and out hustling everyone else, so it's just an experience. It's an experience that we all have. And then ultimately everyone's going to come to this understanding that because those things, there will ultimately be no amount of hard work you can put in to offering a vibration. When we know how to operate as energetic beings who understand that we are one with everything, offering a vibration, a higher vibration, is more powerful than any work that you could do over decades or lifetimes. It's more powerful to operate in a way where we are mastering offering a vibration to the universe, projecting it out and having it reflected back. And we're starting from the premise and the understanding that we are whole and complete rather than we're lacking and we need to achieve something outside of ourselves.
That's so true. I know like energy is everything, especially with the way we create reality. So how do you go about like offering the right vibration? Because you can say we want certain things, we can say we are happy, but if you're not offering that energy, and people can sense that, if people can sense that, the universe can sense that. How do we go about offering the right vibration, even if it can be like tough in our life right now? We can go through some ups and downs. How do we go about that?
So each individual state of being we can embody produces a vibrational signature. What we actually are is an energetic being. It's an energy being that offers that is a vibration. There's no name or no name, no image, no form to what we are. We don't have any real identity. We are a vibrational signature, and that vibration, in its truest essence, is unconditional love, which is the one true concrete reality, as I mentioned before. That vibration, within that vibration, all frequencies or resonances of vibration are contained. So everything from low frequencies, like we experience guilt, shame, apathy, sadness, and you'll see this within the Hawkins scale of consciousness, to higher frequencies like love, joy, abundance, gratitude, effortless flow. These types of things, they're all embodied within that one particular vibration. And so we are all frequencies. And so whatever frequency we're vibrating at, the frequency is the rate at which we vibrate. That will determine the experience of life that we have. Within every state of being that we embody, that will send out a signature vibration. Okay, so let's say we're going to occupy a state of being of knowing that we are one and whole and complete with everything, that everything we desire to experience is within us now. When we're embodying the state of being that I already am everything that I desire to experience myself as, and the great Christian mystic Neville Goddard said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, begin at the end, start from a place of wholeness and completion. When we embody that state of being, of already being what we desire to experience, not just having it, but beyond that, being what we desire to experience. Because again, I remind you, everything is contained within us. We are a fractal of God, and a fractal of God contains everything. So if it exists within the multiverse, it exists within you. When we embody a state of being whole and complete, we emanate a vibration of being whole and complete that gets projected out to the universe and reflected back. When we are not aware of our oneness, of that we are one with all of creation, we start from a vibration of lack and scarcity that gets projected out and reflected back, because the universe can only mirror our dominant frequency or vibration. So it's really our understanding of who we are as the creator, and the creator, when we know ourselves as the creator, we know ourselves as one with everything. There is nothing that is not the creator. There's nothing outside of the creator. There's nothing beyond the creator. So when we start from embodying a state of being, of knowing that we are whole and complete, the vibration that we offer is going to be one of wholeness and completion, and that will be projected out and reflected back as the experience of heaven on earth.
You know, this past couple months, I've been like really getting into these type of topics, but it's like, as you said, it's for me, it's like sometimes I get off track of basically maintaining my mind the right way. Like I don't necessarily reframe certain, let's just say, negative things to like the things in the sense of like positive. Let's just say, I don't know, I get injured, and instead of like saying, oh, the world is over, I cannot do this, I can shift my mind, say this is like a positive thing that's happening for me. And I feel like whenever we reframe our thoughts, our perspective, as you said, perception, in a way that it serves us, then automatically we are offering the right vibration. Correct?
Oh, correct. Perception is creation. The way we perceive reality is the way we create reality. Okay, and so no matter what transpires, if you're able to perceive absolutely everything, I don't care what it looks like on the surface to your, to our brainwashed conditioned mind is going to say this is a disaster. This is the worst thing that's happening. We came out to Mount Shasta for a retreat, and the weather was perfect before we got here, and now there's a foot of snow on the ground, right? And it's going to make it impossible for all the people to come here in a smooth way. But as soon as the snow started falling, I know, because I have the awareness, because I lived my life as a victim for a long time. When I stepped into the creatorship, the level of creatorship, I know that everything that transpires is not accidental. It's placed there for a reason. It's actually placed there by our higher self. And it must be placed there because it serves a purpose. When we can see absolutely everything that transpires in our life experience as an advantage, as this is here to serve me, the way we perceive reality is the way we create it. We can only extract a beneficial perception, or we can only receive a benefit from whatever that situation is. But conversely, the opposite is also true. If something was created by our higher self, or our higher aspects, our oversoul, to serve us, but we refuse to perceive the benefit of it, we actually can never align with the benefit in it. So this teaching, this understanding is so incredibly important. I tell you, if you get nothing else from this interview, this can change your life. Perceive absolutely everything that happens as an advantage. And if you can't perceive any advantage in the moment, see it as completely neutral, and then allow the advantage or the benefit to reveal itself. Say, universe, I can't wait to see what the benefit of this is, and I can't wait for you to reveal it to me. Okay, if we can stay in that at least neutral state, we will be able to extract a benefit from whatever transpires, and no matter what it looks like. And this works 100% of the time, every time. And I would say, if you're skeptical about this, try it for yourself.
Nah, I fully agree. I fully agree because like sometimes we're in certain situations and there's two people in the exact same situation. One of them chooses to see the positive way. The other person chooses to see it the negative way. The person who sees it in the positive way, they always see more opportunities. There's like always another door opening for them, and this is like what I experienced personally because sometimes when you're in that certain negative situation, you feel like it's over. But if you just make the decision, if you have the awareness, and I feel like awareness is one of the most underrated skills that nobody really talks about, being aware, being present. And if you're just aware enough to understand, okay, this is not the end, there is always a best move I can do. And the best move is to not be affected. The best move is to see it positively. And when we do that, we can always progress.
Beautifully stated. That's beautifully well articulated, and that comes down to literally what we were talking about before is vibration. If we cannot perceive what we're not the vibration of, so when we're perceiving that everything is an advantage, we are immediately in vibrational alignment to perceive what the advantage is. When we're not in vibrational alignment, when we're embodying the victim vibration, we are not in the same. Einstein said a problem cannot be solved from the same level of consciousness in which it was created, and that is exactly right. We have to be in alignment to perceive the benefit from that level of consciousness. And so this is so incredibly important. Awareness is everything, like you just said, like you beautifully stated just there. And actually, ultimately, what we are is awareness. And so when we can bring that to the forefront of our experience, then we are able to perceive everything that we need to perceive in order for us to have the most fullest, richest experience of life.
Mm. I feel like personally, even though like I personally know this information, I feel like a lot of people know this information, we still struggle to apply it. How would you go about like consistently applying this way of thinking, this way of perceiving things that it can serve you rather than hold you back?
Once you've come into contact with this information, once you come into contact with this, what's going to happen is automatically your life is going to start serving you experiences that are going to give you the opportunity to practice the information, and you get as many tries as you need. It's a for a lot of us, it's a process of trial and error, where error is too strong a word. This is the process that we desire to experience. We created the illusion of time so that we could see ourselves overcoming these hurdles, these obstacles, these challenges that we created for ourselves. So it's just a process of mastery, developing mastery, and that's what this whole game is about. The multiverse is a multi-frequential, multi-dimensional hall of mirrors designed for self-mastery. This is all a game, an endless game of self-mastery. So when we quote unquote fail, that is actually just delayed success, because you get as many tries as you need. And like I said, the moment you come into contact with this higher consciousness wisdom, your life is going to automatically begin to serve you experiences that are going to give you that opportunity to start developing that mastery. And if you fail, please remember that is only delayed success. There's no such thing as failure. Failure is a human concept. So give yourself as many experiences of quote unquote trial and error as you need to. Ultimately, we're all infinite, eternal beings, and we will all develop that self mastery that we desire for ourselves, whether it's in this incarnation or another.
Perfectly said. Now, I can't agree more than that. I feel like with awareness itself, a lot of the times because of the programming that we've received over the years, we just tend to go back to that older habits, the mental attitude. I feel like it plays a huge part because, for example, someone who's been constantly trained to put themselves down, and when they were a kid, they were trained to not believe in themselves. They were trained to not express themselves authentically. As they grow up, no matter how much conscious information they get, it's going to be still a bit difficult for them to express themselves in the way they're actually supposed to. And I feel like that subconscious programming takes some time to let go of, because of it's, especially as a child, it takes time because it really goes deep within your mind.
Yeah, I can see that. When I work with people one-on-one, literally what I'm literally assisting them to do is form new habits. That's literally the only thing that's holding them back once they come into the contact with this higher consciousness wisdom and this higher consciousness perception of reality and perception of themselves, which reality and themselves is one thing. literally it's only the bad habits that or the unwanted habits, because at one point, believe it or not, those habits did serve us. It's the quote unquote negative habits that are holding them back. And so when we work on just reforming new habits, literally that's really kind of all that needs to be installed. And this helps tremendously to understand that time is an illusion and that you are reborn in every present moment. You are reborn. You're actually generating a new version of your human avatar is regenerated in every present moment. And if you can let go of the illusion of continuity of the past creates the present, it's actually just the opposite of what we were conditioned. It is the present that creates the past. When we change who we are in this present moment, it literally rewrites the past and creates the future at the same time. You are always rewriting the past and creating the future with your current embodiment or your state of being in this present moment. The frequency of the frequential vibration that you're offering to the universe is rewriting the past and creating the future. If you can remember this, it's a lot easier to rewire these habits than if we believe that the illusion of the past and continuity is real.
So true, so true. I feel like every single moment is like an opportunity for us to elevate ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually. And you mentioned authenticity is one of the most important state of beings, that being able to truly express yourself at your truest form, the deepest form. And I feel like a lot of times we tend to block ourselves because of, as you said, like just mental attitude, the way we hold ourselves back, the programming that we received. Personally, I notice whenever I'm in my most authentic state, I'm the most magnetic. It's just like people gravitate towards me, people just open up to me, and I don't have to do anything. And as you said again, it's all energy. So why do you think people are more magnetic when they're more authentic?
Because there's nothing more magnetic than who you were created to be. Who were you created to be by creation. Doing being exactly who you are and doing exactly what you love is the formula for success in life, because it is what magnetizes everything that is meant for you to you. And anything other than that authentic expression, that authentic energetic signature that you are, will never vibrationally align you with what is meant for you. So you'll just keep getting things that are kind of like halfway there, or they're kind of what you wanted, but there's all kinds of issues with them. The relationships won't be exactly the way you want them to be. A job will show up, but you'll have a narcissistic boss. A great job will show up, but a narcissistic. There'll be all kinds of problems with it because they're not authentic. Because when we manifest from an illusion, our ego mind, which is the separate self, we can only manifest illusions, and illusions will never satisfy us. But when we are authentic, when we are expressing who we truly are and doing what we truly love, we are embodying the most authentic state of being, which makes us magnetic to everything that is actually meant for us. And what is meant for us is actually the only thing we desire to experience. We don't desire to experience what is not meant for us because it's not going to fulfill us. And for a lot of us, we do have the experience of manifesting from the illusionary ego, the separate self, and experiencing situations that are not satisfying to us. And for a lot of us, we've had that experience. I know I certainly did for many, many years, decades. I was operating from my separate self, my ego, which is inauthentic, and therefore I was manifesting situations that were not satisfying to me and that always left me unfulfilled. And then when I came into contact with this higher consciousness wisdom, I was ready to embody my authentic self because I was exhausted. Eventually, it becomes exhausting to not be who you are. It wears you down because it's not who you are. And so eventually the process of being inauthentic gets so exhausting that you're ready to step into the fullness and the completion of who you really are.
Mm. It's a mask, because if you're not our true selves, like it's like a constant mask we're wearing, and as you said, you're going to be tired eventually. And the interesting part is that us being authentic has nothing to do with material success, with physical things. Because it's funny, because the most amount of times I've been like magnetic in my life, I noticed I was, especially when I was like 18, 19, 20, a couple of years ago, 2, 3 years ago, it wasn't that I was necessarily the most physically in shape. It wasn't the most like I was knowledgeable. It was just energy. I was like technically a less knowledgeable person than I was right now, but I was just more magnetic. Everything was just flowing to me. And like as right now, like as I'm learning all this stuff, it just shows me, oh, it's all about energy. It's all about being authentic.
Yeah, if if personal magnetism is important to you, it's in this book, Creation is Finished, the 3 frames of charisma, or on my YouTube channel, there's the Charisma Masterclass. If you want to understand the 3 frames of charisma that literally make you an energetic match to everything you desire, it's in this book. Or you can go, if you don't want to buy the book, you can go to the YouTube channel and watch the Charisma Masterclass. Just put my name, Pete Sapper, Charisma Masterclass, and it will pop up. And you can, once you understand the 3 frames of charisma, I mean, there's no way you cannot be magnetic once you embody that, because they're the 3 frames are power, presence, and warmth. Presence being the key component of charisma. And when you have a full understanding of present moment awareness, you know what to do, what to say, when to say it, where to be, who to be with, and it all happens effortlessly. I promise you, this is exactly the way it works, especially once you embody the 3 frames of charisma. And like I said, that's either in the book Creation is Finished, which you can get on Amazon, or you can watch it for free on my YouTube channel, the Charisma Masterclass. And so if personal magnetism or becoming energetically magnetic is what it is that's important to you, that will be, just take that Charisma Masterclass. It's literally kind of all you need, because ultimately you actually know everything that you're going to quote unquote learn. And it's the beliefs and brainwashing and the trauma-based mind control that we experience when we come into this 3rd dimensional experience that is actually blocking all the tangible knowing of what you've always known to be true.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely get the book for sure. I know it's gonna be a lot of valuable information in it. How do you feel like the subconscious mind plays a role in our day-to-day life? Because it takes a huge part of our mental attitude, because it's all the previous programming, all the years and decades of information fed, beliefs fed by the people that maybe they wanted a good thing for us, but it wasn't necessarily the best way of delivering the information. And over time, it just got put in our brain. So how do you feel like we can utilize our subconscious mind to take control of our life?
We can see it as what it is. The subconscious mind is like the greatest recording device ever created. And we can use it for our benefit, or we can use it for our detriment. When we understand that what we've picked up since we've been here, since we incarnate on this planet, are beliefs and ideas and structures and ideologies and concepts that don't really serve us and are not really the truth. When we can understand that, then we can start emptying out that stuff. When we understand the highest consciousness truth, that has nothing to do with our brainwashing. When we start people ask me all the time, how do I reprogram my subconscious mind? Your mind does not need reprogramming. It needs deprogramming. It needs deletion of all of these inauthentic programs. And then what you are, like I said, already knows everything. Once all of the garbage has been removed, it's literally just scooping out the garbage that has been implanted in our subconscious mind. And I want to encourage everyone to resist any ideas of victimhood that this was done to us. We have all chosen our programming. And we chose our programming because we wanted to have this experience of expansion. This is the way consciousness evolves. It goes from a low level of consciousness to overcoming these challenges and obstacles, which we created, this ego mind, the separate self that gets brainwashed and traumatized and fragmented and separated from everything it desires to experience. We go from that experience of separateness and being clueless and stumbling around in the dark and not knowing what we're doing, to really embodying our mastery. And that process of self-mastery becomes a massive expansion of the evolution of consciousness. And that's what this game is all about, an evolution of consciousness. So yes, the programming does hold us back originally, but ultimately, if we've decided to ascend in this incarnation, we're going to come into contact, we're going to attract information like this, and we're going to have immediate resonance with it, and we're going to immediately start deleting all these programs that have been brainwashed into our subconscious mind, and then we're going to remember the truth. What you are does not need reprogramming, it needs deprogramming. And then once all the programs are gone, you're back in touch with the truth, which is something that has always been a part of you, and then it's effortless from there.
Perfectly said. So how do we go about deprogramming our brain with like the right beliefs, with the right thoughts? How do we choose them?
So you can ask yourself literally, when you take an action, ask yourself, why are you performing this action? That's it. Just awareness. It's all about awareness. I'll go back to what you said before. Awareness. When we burn what is undesired, something that is not serving us, a behavior, a thought, a belief system, when we become aware of it, it is no longer controlling us. These things only control us when we're not aware of them, when they're operating deep in our subconscious, in the recesses of our subconscious mind. One of my teachers, RJ Spina, wrote a book called Change Your Mind. It has a simple process, a 14-day notebook exercise, where you literally ask yourself, every time you take an action, why am I taking this action? And then there's a series of questions you ask to get to the bottom of why you're taking the action. And that reveals the programming. that is very deep in the subconscious mind. It's a beautiful 14, very elegant process for bringing the subconscious beliefs to the conscious light of awareness. And once we are aware of these things, they're no longer controlling us, we can simply delete them like we would delete a program on a computer. But even if you don't do the 14-day notebook exercise, just ask yourself every time you take an action, why am I taking this action? Because the order of creation is desire, intention, thought, emotion, action, and behavior. Action and behavior are the two most the weakest things that we can do. I know this goes completely against our hustle culture brainwashing, hustle and grind brainwashing, but action and behavior are the two least powerful ways that we can create in the world. Because again, when we come into conscious awareness of who we are as creator beings, we understand that desire and intention are the two highest orders of creation. They're the highest vibrational or highest frequential states that we have the most power at. And as we come down the order of creation, we go all the way down to action and behavior. So we start with action and behavior and ask ourselves, why am I taking this action? When we're taking mindless actions, we're just going to get the same results. Take the same action, get the same results. Same behavior, same results. So when things are not working out to the way we want them to work out, we just ask ourselves, why am I doing this? You'll get to the bottom of the belief system. And what you will find is programming. I'm doing this because I want to look good. I'm doing this because I want to be perceived well by others. I'm doing this because I'm getting a sense of self. I'm getting a sense of myself from so-called others. When you see this programming, you stop behaving that way. Because if you're using anything outside of you, and I promise you there's nothing outside of you, there's just the 3D illusion, which is just a mirror of what's going on inside of you. If you're using anything outside of you to generate a state of being, that thing is going to own you, and you'll have no mastery and no control over your experience.
So what you're saying is that most of the people try to change an effect by changing the effect rather than working and changing the cause.
Correct. If we want to see a different reflection in the mirror, we have to change what's projecting the image in the first place. So the way things actually work when we've come out of the third dimensional, experience of brainwashing and conditioning is we change what's within us first. We make the internal shifts, and then that gets reflected externally. That's the only way it works, and that is ancient Hermetic wisdom that if anyone wants to come into contact with it, it's always encapsulated as the ancient wisdom of as above, so below, as within, so without. Whatever internal world we've got going on, the outside world is going to reflect it.
So to be deprogramming our mind, we just need to be aware and question why we do things, right?
Yes, I'll take it back to what you beautifully stated before. Awareness is everything. Ultimately, what we are is the awareness of this entire experience. We're not the human character. We're the awareness of the human character. And when we can get that space of detachment, of understanding that what we are is pure awareness, the awareness of the human character, the human avatar, when we have that space, that level of detachment allows us to make these changes. When we believe we are the human character and we don't understand we're the awareness of the human character, there's no space to create the detachment to be able to perceive, to get that space to be able to perceive. Like if we're driving in our car and it gets a flat tire, you can't fix the car if you believe you are the car, right? But if you understand you're the driver or the awareness of the car, then you can get out and you can fix the flat tire. But if there's no detachment, there's no space in which to fix what needs to be fixed. And ultimately, nothing needs to be fixed. It just needs to be perceived properly. We are the awareness of the human avatar. And when we have this understanding, we can burn what no longer serves us in the light of awareness. That's all that needs to happen. Once you become aware of what no longer serves you, it literally releases on its own.
So true, man. This book I just recently started reading, The Power of Awareness, and it's so good. I learned a lot just by first couple pages, but I feel like it's something that a lot of the viewers should definitely get into. Have you read that book?
I have. I've read everything that the great Christian mystic Neville Goddard has produced, and he was such a phenomenal teacher. And if you want to simplify everything that we're offering you here, they can be found in Neville's great books. The Feeling is the Secret, or The Power of Awareness, or anything that Neville wrote. It's just, he was a brilliant teacher.
Yeah. So how do we go about unblocking our energy, finding those blocks and removing them? Because as you said, we live in a vibrational reality. We live in an energetical reality. How do we go about removing those blocks so we can offer the right energy?
Okay. So with the way we can remove those blocks is understand that we're the ones creating them. We're the ones creating them. If we had no beliefs, no concepts, no ideologies, no brainwashing in the way, everything would flow effortlessly. Our life is literally designed to unfold from within us outward, if we didn't have any judgments about how things should be, and this shouldn't happen, and this shouldn't have been this way, and this should have been different, and if only I had a different parents, if we can just understand that everything has already happened. The book is called Creation is Finished because time is an illusion. You've already blueprinted your life. Everything that is unfolding over the experience of quote unquote time, which is just an illusion. Everything has already happened, and we are now just re-experiencing it. It's literally our higher self looking back on its incarnation and reliving it. But everything has already happened. And so if we can just remove our human character's interference in the process, I promise you everything will unfold effortlessly. The only thing creating those energetic blocks is our misperceptions, our misprogramming, and our misidentifications. Once those misperceptions, misunderstandings, and misidentifications are seen as for what they are, blockages that we're putting in there, everything will flow effortlessly, I promise you, because that's the way you are designed, is to be a perfect system of flow. And every system ever created, ever invented, has been based upon the flow of energy. And that's what you are ultimately. You are awareness that ultimately is a flow of energy, and that energy flows perfectly when we do not have all of these blocks that we've placed in the way with our misperceptions of how things work. And so I promise you, if you just allow your life to unfold, it will bring you everything you need exactly when you need it. And if you don't have something right now, it's because you don't need it. You're never lacking anything. If you can keep that in mind, that if I don't have it, I don't need it, this makes it much, much easier. This is one of the biggest blocks we have, is that we insist that we need something right now that we don't have. And I promise you that is never the case. Your life is always bringing you more and more and more what you need to get to where you need to go. And if you could just see the perfection of everything you're experiencing, all those energetic blocks will start to dissolve on their own. And if somebody's experienced like really heavy trauma or some situation like that, I would encourage you to come to one of our retreats. We use a sacred medicine called Bufo or 5-MeO-DMT. We use both the organic or toad extracted medicine, and we use also a plant-derived medicine version of 5-MeO-DMT. It is the most magical thing I've ever seen for removing energetic blockages, so-called trauma, which is just misperceptions, misunderstandings, misidentifications. That moves all of that stuff out. So if you need help with that, go to bufosacredmedicine.com. It's BUFO sacredmedicine.com and sign up for one of our retreats or do a private ceremony. And that will help you if you really are struggling with these energetic blocks. This medicine is designed to clear these energetic blocks from you, and to clear all low frequency energy from your energy field. But again, literally all these energetic blocks are things that we put there with our own misperceptions. If we just allow life to flow the way it is meant to, it will unfold effortlessly, and your life will bring you everything you need, including this information, to act on your highest excitement, be who you really are, and do what you love doing. And that's it.
Do you think it's one of the mistakes people make with manifesting? Because a lot of people feel like they have to do something to manifest, but they don't realize that they're manifesting as they're speaking. And it's just they have to reframe their mind, reframe the way they see things to manifest the things that they actually want.
Correct. Manifestation is something we're doing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's what the Freemasons called infinite action. We are constantly offering forever a vibration or frequency to the universe. It is being emanated out and reflected back. So everything that is appearing in our life and in our experience, we are manifesting. The point is to go from, and this is what my book is about, Creation is Finished, is about transcending manifesting and going into the process of conscious creating. And so consciously offering a vibration, consciously holding that state of being, and then consciously receiving exactly what it is that we desire to experience. So this is the process of developing mastery as a creator of your experience. And this process has been distilled in many, many ways. In the book that you just showed, Power of Awareness, Neville talks about, the feeling is the secret. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and rest in that feeling. That's a beautiful teaching. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is occupy the state of being, of already being, not even just having, but being what it is that you desire to experience, because that's the truth. You already are everything you desire to be. That's why my book is called Creation is Finished. You already are, let me repeat that, you already are everything you desire to be, and your refusal to believe it is the only reason you do not experience it. And those are the words of Neville Goddard in The Power of Awareness. You already are everything you desire to be, and if you can remove the misperceptions that say that you are not, then you can actually experience that in a tangibly, in a much more expedient manner. than if we can continually insist to the universe that we're incomplete, that we're lacking, and that what's happening in our life experience currently, which is taking us to the fulfillment of everything we desire to be, experience ourselves as. Everything that is happening in our life shouldn't be happening, or it's wrong, or it should go a different way, or it should have been a different, I should have experienced it, or that person had it easier than me. I promise you, you've blueprinted every single moment of your life. There's not a moment of your life that is not planned. And there's not a moment of your life where you are not receiving everything that you need in order to experience the fulfillment of everything that you've always been and forever will be.
So just to rephrase things, you're basically saying that we are the creators of the life we are living in right now, and also we are the person who's living it right now. So we're the creator and the person who's experiencing it at the same time.
You are the creator within your own creation, and you are the act of creating itself. Because remember, I take you back to the beginning. If you want to be a master of manifestation, we have to understand the truth. The truth is everything is one thing. You are the creator, the creation, and the act of creating itself. You are the observer, the observed, and the act of observing itself. Everything is one thing. And when you understand that, you have the most power to consciously create your experience, because you're no longer creating the illusion of separation between yourself as the creator, yourself as the human character, and everything you desire to experience. Everything is one thing.
So I think you're basically stating information related to this, right? The all is all from Kabbalion. I don't know if you read this book.
The all is in the one, and the one is in the all. That's the truth. Yeah. We are all contained within each other. We are all creators within our own creation. And when we have awareness of this, we understand that nothing in our life is happening by accident, and not a single moment of it is unplanned.
Mm. So knowing this information, how can we be balanced internally with our thoughts, with our beliefs, with the way we perceive things? Because if we just get that one aspect of ourselves right, then basically everything just flows.
Again, if we would stop imbalancing ourselves with our misperceptions and misunderstandings and misidentifications, there would be complete balance. So number one, we have to understand that we're the ones creating the imbalance. And if we could just go back to what everything we've offered in this interview thus far, and understand that if we don't get in the way, life will unfold perfectly. The flow of our lives is already set up. What we are doing, the majority of us that's creating that imbalance, is we're trying to swim upstream against the current of our own lives that we've set up, because we don't have any awareness. Our ego mind or our separate self is disconnected from our higher self and the totality of all of existence, of all of creation. So if we can just understand that the flow of our life has already been set up, the flow knows exactly where to take us. And if we'll just stop resisting the flow, we'll get to exactly where we need to go, and we'll get there exactly when we need to be there. And everything is already set up. If we stop fighting that flow of our lives that we've set up from our higher understanding, from our higher consciousness perspective, then all of this struggle, all of this imbalance will literally disappear, because we'll stop creating the imbalance.
Perfectly said, man. So it also comes down to how do we perceive what happens in our life, and as a result, we change the energy we offer. And then the things that start being created in front of us, it's basically the effect of the energy we offered, correct?
Beautifully articulated. I couldn't have said it better. You said it better than I did. If the way we perceive reality is the way we create it. If we perceive absolutely everything that transpires in our life as something that we created, as something that we pre-planned, as something that is absolutely benefiting us, because there is nothing that's transpiring in your life by accident or that isn't benefiting you. Once we perceive that properly, everything flows effortlessly, and we stop getting in the way of what we've already set up for ourselves to experience. Beautifully stated.
Thank you. Speaking of energy, what are the differences and the dynamics of masculine and feminine energies? Because a lot of people assume that just because you're a woman, you don't have any masculine energy, and just because you're a guy, you don't have any feminine energy. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, so we all contain, in our human avatar, we all contain masculine and feminine energies, okay? And whether we incarnated to a male vessel or a female vessel, it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with it. There's always a balance of masculine and feminine. And what we want to understand is coming into balance. We don't want to be dominant in either one. Both are incredibly important. The masculine or doing energy is very important, as is the feminine or being energy or receiving energy is also incredibly important. And until if let's say we incarnate into a male vessel, and we're continually doing the hustle culture, the hyper masculinity, which is toxic masculinity, overdoing, is actually what toxic masculinity actually is overdoingness. compulsive or obsessive doingness, hustle culture. That's actually what toxic masculinity is. Never mind what the woke culture has tried to make toxic masculinity out. And then our wounded feminine energy is the inability to receive properly. Okay, and so if we're hyper masculine, we're not going to have the ability to receive, or we're not going to see the power of receiving. And I'll tell you, we are on the age of Aquarius now, which is a feminine cycle. It's all about receiving. So the way we balance these masculine and feminine energies is understanding that at the soul level, at what the level of what we really are, there is no masculine or feminine. There is no soul that is masculine or feminine. These energies get created, and they're energies we work with when we are in the human incarnation. So when we understand our totality and what we really are is neither masculine nor feminine, it is everything. Everything is one thing. Then these things can balance themselves out. We will see the value in our masculine energy, which is the taking action energy, and we will see the value in our feminine energy, especially in this feminine cycle, because it's all about receiving. It's not about hustle. It's about receiving because everything we've already created for ourselves. When we can master those things balance themselves out naturally when we stop imbalancing them. Now remember, all imbalances are created by us. There's nothing else actually creating itself in our experience other than us. So we have blockages, we have imbalances. We're the ones creating those things with our misperception, misunderstanding, and misidentification of how things are supposed to unfold. And I promise, if you can see the value in the masculine doing this, taking action, and the value in the feminine receiving and beingness, because the way we create our reality is by offering a state of being, and then that creates the circumstances of our lives. If we can see the value of both, those energies will completely balance themselves out, because we'll stop creating the imbalance, thinking one is more important than the other. There is no one more important than the other. Everything is one thing, and everything is equally important. When we see that, everything balances out perfectly.
Very true. All is one, one is all. I feel like personally for me, because I'm bringing myself as an example, because I don't know what viewers are going through, but personally for me, I feel like I'm way more in tune with my masculine side, and I kind of like naturally block my feminine energy, as you said, receiving. How do I unblock that? I know you went through this again, but I just want to like dive deep into it like this. Like, how do I unblock that energy?
So I will go back to what you said earlier. It's about awareness. Okay, so if you have awareness that we are dominant in our masculine energy, which is totally understandable. I was very dominant in my masculine energy before I came into this higher consciousness understanding, and so I was completely discounting my feminine or receiving energy. Okay, but now that we have awareness that we are in the age of Aquarius, we're no longer in the Piscean age, which is the age of doing, and toxic masculinity. It is the age of receiving. And that the way the energies are set up, we are being bombarded with high frequency energies from the grand central sun and from our sun that are allowing us to, everything that doesn't belong to us, all the misperceptions, misunderstandings, misidentifications, and traumas are coming up to be released. And usually this will come up with a lot of triggered energy. We'll have a lot of emotions. Energies that don't belong to us are going to be triggered to come up to the surface because they're actually trying to leave because they don't belong to us. If we're able to allow all that stuff that doesn't belong to us to come up and out and release it just by being the awareness of it, not attaching to it, allowing it to come up and out, what we will experience is a natural rebalancing of everything. So if we understand that we're in the age of Aquarius, we're working with these high frequency energies that are perfect energies for being conscious creators, because working with high frequency energy means the time lapse between when you offer a state of being and when you receive the creation, the result of that state of being is much it's happening much faster now. The illusion of time is being shrunken down because of these high frequency energies. If we're allowing everything that doesn't belong to us, like our misidentification with being hyper masculine or toxically masculine, if we're allowing it to come up and out and be released, our feminine will automatically rebalance ourselves because we are in a feminine cycle. It's all about receiving. We don't have to do nearly as much work to receive something to the fruits of our so-called effort, which is really just embodying a state of being. It's going to be effortless if we can understand the power of being in a feminine cycle and allowing our feminine energy to flourish and master the art of receiving. I promise you the biggest problem we all have with manifestation, besides understanding that it's all one thing and creating the illusion of separation, is not being able to receive, is not being willing to receive, because everything is here and now. Everything here is a part. The entire universe is an extension of you, the creator. It's all here for you, including me, everything. Everything here is an extension of you. We all have our own universe nested within the multiverse. We are all our own universe, and we're the center of the universe. So everything that stretches out from beyond us the center of awareness of that universe, is an extension of us. It's all here for us. And unless our feminine energy is well balanced and ready to receive, then we can't receive everything that is here for us. We're literally creating separation between us and the entirety of the universe, which again, I remind you, is all here for us. So that's why it's incredibly important to see the value of our feminine energy and the value of receiving, because at this point, the problem with manifestation is just our inability or unwillingness to receive what has always been here for us.
Yeah, that's something I gotta definitely be more aware of and work on to like let it go, like so I can actually receive properly. It's I'm more receiving now, especially now that I'm in a relationship. Like I have to actively work on that and let go of the limiting beliefs and the way I see things that are the things that are holding me back. But going back into like going into relationships, how do you feel like energy affects relationships, like sexual energy exchange?
So from the highest perspective, we make a big deal out of sex and sexual energy exchange. Here's how it works. Sexual energy exchange is just like any other experience. We have an experience, and then we receive feedback from the experience. And then we can see whether that added to our energetic bank account or depleted our energetic bank account. And depending on which energies we're aligning ourselves with, like for a long time, I was a match to narcissistic types, narcissistic women. And every time I would exchange energy with them, whether it was sexual energy or just being in their energy, I don't feel depleted, right? But because I was so brainwashed, so programmed that if the woman looks a certain way on the outside, that I'm benefiting from that interaction, right? My ego is getting gratified. But the whole time I'm being energetically depleted, which is destroying my ability to create my reality as I desire to create it. So we have to be aware of what is happening every time we are exchanging energies. And a sexual energy exchange is a deeper form of exchange. It's a more intimate form of exchange. And so you have the experience and then you receive feedback. And if we don't make a big deal out of it, we'll be able to discern whether that energetic exchange benefited us or it was a debit to us. Whether it added to our energetic bank account, which makes us a powerful creator, because we need the energy to create the life that we want, or whether it's taking away and depleting our energy because of our brainwashing of our ego mind that, hey, if she's a hot girl or if it's a hot guy, then I'm benefiting, my ego is being gratified, but my energetic bank account and my power as a creator of my reality is being completely depleted. Because there are certain types that do embody the succubus or the incubus energy. They will deplete your energy, no matter what they look like, and a lot of them look great on the outside, but they will absolutely deplete your energy. And what I'm interested in at this point of my evolution is being a powerful creator of my reality. So I'm hyper aware of all the energies I exchange with. And when it comes to sex in general, I never ever engage in sexual activity of any nature unless there is a creative component behind it. I don't waste. I know we're going to talk about semen retention in a second, and I'm glad you're going to bring that up. But I don't waste that creative life force ever unless there is a creative component behind it. Like I won't have sex for sexual pleasure anymore. I've already passed that stage of my life. I had that experience, and I understand that the debit that has when you're just frivolous with your creative energy, your creative life force, and you're just throwing it away, or you're using pornography. And for men, a lot of men go through that experience. It's pretty ubiquitous at this point. So I don't want anybody to attach shame or guilt to that situation. I went through it. A lot of us all go through it. But at some point, you value your creative life force so much that you never expend it in a manner that is frivolous.
Mm. Do you feel like letting that energy go, let's just say in a loving relationship, is as damaging as doing it, let's just say in a hookup?
No. If we are in a genuinely loving relationship where we're both committed to seeing each other thrive, then I don't really have any judgment about how the energy is expended. I'm talking about the hookup culture, right? The way the hookup culture is structured. So outside of the parameters of a genuinely authentically loving relationship, where each person is allowing the other person to express the truest expression of who they really are, and that is what a healthy relationship is about. It's about one person allowing the other, each person allowing the other to be who their truest expression, and supporting that expression, not trying to get in the way of that expression. The majority of relationships on this planet currently, in the level of consciousness that we're at now, are actually about impeding each other's progress, or standing in the way of each other, or being possessive, or being controlling, and literally impeding each other's truest expression, or enabling somebody's worst version of themselves. So when we have a genuinely loving, supportive relationship where we want to see the other person thrive and be who who they really are and do what they really love doing, that's a great relationship. I have no input on that. Spend your creative energy sexually or any other way, however you want. I'm just talking about the hookup culture. There's a reason pornography is a way in which energy is siphoned from us, our creative life force siphoned from us. It's no different than the mainstream media, except besides the fact that it's maybe more addicting, and people have maybe a harder time untethering themselves from it. Because what you're doing is your traumatized ego is interacting with and exchanging energy with somebody else who's highly traumatized and engaging in that situation. And all of that energy is being siphoned. It's not just you're spilling your creative life force, it's being siphoned into things that go to feed the inauthentic false matrix. And so it's a very nefarious situation. But ultimately, from the highest perspective, it gets us to desire creating self-mastery and discipline over where we put our attention, our creative life force. Because at some point, we're going to get tired of having our life force siphoned. We're going to get exhausted from expending our energy as creators, our creative life force that we should be using to create heaven on earth, that we desire to be using to create heaven on earth. I don't want to put any shoulds in there because everyone's going through their own evolution. But again, we came here to create heaven on earth. That's the ultimate goal. Everybody who incarnated at this moment, especially the ones who are going to be attracted to this content, we came here to create heaven on earth. We need all of our creative life force to do that. And that's why it's incredibly important to be aware, again, go back to awareness of how we are expending our creative life force. And I do want to bring us back to ultimately, you are an infinite being that creates from an infinite source. There is no exhaustion of your supply. You are an infinite, eternal, immortal creator being. So that life force, if you've expended it, will always be replenished. But we always want to have awareness and mastery over how we are utilizing that creative life force. Because when we master that prana, that creative life force, we can create whatever it is we desire. And ultimately, we create heaven on earth for ourselves and everyone else that's here.
Based on what you said, so I'm assuming you're for semen retention and abstinence, unless it's meant for developing your consciousness, to grow a relationship, to actually have an energy plus rather than an energy negative for you, right?
Yeah, so a lot of men I notice nowadays, they make their whole evolution about semen retention. Like semen retention is going to solve all their problems. I promise you it's not. And abstinence is something that we can use that makes sense in certain points of our evolution. The thing with abstinence is anytime we're abstaining from something or we're resisting something, we're giving it more power than it needs to have over us. Okay, so I'm going to abstain from this. I'm just by virtue of me having to abstain from something, I'm saying that it has power over me because I need to stop. I need to abstain. I need to put distance between how about I can take it or leave it? When we get to I can take it or leave it, it doesn't have any actual control over me. I can enjoy it when I need it and then I can and let it go when I don't need it. It doesn't have any power over me. So abstinence can be used as a tool to create that place of your awareness where you can just take it or leave it. Okay, so we don't want to constantly be abstaining from things because we're actually giving it more power than it needs to have over us. Because just by saying I need to abstain from it says it has power over me. When you can just take it or leave it, it doesn't have any energetic pull on you. That's when you're starting to develop mastery. So I want to give people an understanding of, yes, abstinence is a good tool, but do we want to stick to that tool or do we want to get to the place where it doesn't have any energetic pull over us? We can take it or leave it. When we get to the place where we can take or leave anything, we're incredibly powerful because nothing is creating itself in our experience at that point. Nothing is imposing its will upon us. And as far as semen retention goes, it's like I said, I don't expend any of that because it's incredibly powerful as far as a creative force, unless there's a creative component behind it. And this is what people talk about using post-orgasmic creation, the energetic momentum that is created by the orgasm. If you can capitalize on that, there's a lot of creative potential behind it. That's the only time I will expend that life force is when I'm using it as a creative thing. Because at this point in my evolution, I'm not making any judgments about how anybody else should use it. Dude, spill your semen for however you want, as much as it gratifies you, whatever. At my point in my evolution, and I know that everybody who's watching this, they're going to get to a point in their evolution where they will not want to expend anything on anything other than creating their version of heaven on earth, both for themselves and for the collective, because that's what it means to be a master creator.
Yeah, so you're basically saying just approach it with a neutral perspective and don't let it drain you and do it as as it serves you. Correct?
Ultimately, everybody who watches this is going to get to the place where that's where they're going to be operating. They're going to be operating as a master creator, where no energy is being expended or siphoned from them in a frivolous way.
Got it. Got it. So just to wrap things up, let's just say someone who has no idea about this information and they have never came across this type of wisdom. How do I go about teaching them this information? How do I go about kind of giving them this information, at least planting the seeds in their mind? So maybe in a couple months, maybe in a year or two, they're not necessarily proactively, but they're looking for more information about those topics by themselves rather than kind of spoon fed it, because I've heard this quote that you say, not you say, but I've heard it that you speak to frequencies, you don't speak to people.
That's correct, because that's what people actually are. The so-called people, in our experience, they're just energetic reflections of us. They're all reflecting back aspects of ourselves, and we are creating them. So remember I said we all have our own universe nested within God's multiverse. Our universe, we're the center of that universe, and all of the so-called people in our universe, we are creating with our own energy. It's not the versions of them that exist in their universe. So we're creating our own version of them, because we contain everything. We contain everything and everyone within our own creation. We're creating the version of them that is going to assist us and give us what we need for our own evolution. Okay, so we're creating the version of them. But they are literally just representative of our frequencies that we are either in alignment with or not alignment with. And so the game of mastery, when it comes to interacting with so-called others, which are all reflections of ourselves, is aligning our energy with those frequencies that exist and that exist to benefit us. Okay, because you're always going to have the option to align your energy with frequencies that do not serve your evolution. That's always going to be an option, because creation is unconditionally loving and there's no judgment whatsoever. There's no judgment from me, and there's certainly no judgment from creation on what you choose to align your energy with. So if a man's still choosing to align himself with the low frequency energy of pornography, that's fine. Maybe it's an experience he needs to move through. It's an experience I move through. It's an experience every man I've ever met has moved through. There's no judgment. It's an experience we move through to eventually develop mastery. And having our energy siphoned in a low frequency way, eventually we get exhausted with that. We see it's not serving us, and that serves as a springboard to get us where we want to go. It creates the motivational spark to get us to want to develop mastery. So literally everything that we experience serves us in some way or another. The darkness always serves the light. So even if we're exchanging energy or aligning energy with low frequencies, even that will end up serving us, because it can't sustain itself for the long term. We'll end up literally destroying our lives if we stay aligned in a low frequency way. And ultimately that gets us to desire more favorable states of being for becoming masterfully creative. And again, there's absolutely no judgment. And if anything I've ever said in this interview has come across as judgment or created the energy of judgment, number one, I apologize. And number two, I say whatever you judge, you entangle with. Okay, this is incredibly important to understand. This is why judgment is not, I'm not doing the toxic positivity of the spiritual community or the spiritual bypassing of it. Don't judge anybody. Judgment, the reason I'm saying to stay away from judgment is not a moralistic thing. It's because whatever you judge, you automatically align with vibrationally, and you entangle with that. You literally glue yourself to the thing you're judging. So the point is to become very powerful energetically and in every other way. We want to be able to not have any attachment to anything. Judgment is a form of attachment, and it'll keep us in the same place where we're stuck before, having the same experiences that we're having. So when we have no energetic attachment, we can take it or leave it, and we can allow everyone to live and let live. We're incredibly powerful. We can align with whatever frequency we have the awareness that benefits us and benefits our evolution, and we align with those frequencies, and that generates that frequency. Because anytime you put your attention on something, you focus on something, you create an energy exchange with it. And now you are exchanging energy with the point of your focus. And when you do that, when you align your energy properly, that benefits you or doesn't benefit you based upon whatever it is that you're focusing on. And so if you want to empower people, I would say the book that you presented earlier is a phenomenal book, The Power of Awareness. And that teacher was a brilliant teacher. This book, Creation is Finished, is a book that I just published. It's the #1 bestseller already. It only came out a couple of weeks ago, and that will help you remember what a masterful creator you are. Because I assure you, everything that I wrote in that book is those are your words, and it will just spark the remembrance of what you already know. And when we understand the laws of the way this universe works, that the ancient hermetic principles, the laws of this universe, when we stop working against the laws of this universe, we're much more powerful. When we align our creative awareness with the way the universe works, and I would say study the Kabbalion, the 7 ancient hermetic principles. The most important one being the principle of correspondence: as above, so below; as within, so without. With that, whatever inner world we have going on, the outside world is going to reflect it. So I would say start there, but ultimately we don't teach anyone anything. We just assist them to remember what they already know.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we just got to do our best to help them realize that for themselves. And that's one of my missions that I'm working on right now, is to spread that within my community. I'm Armenian. Like, I feel like it's not, religion isn't bad. I feel like there's a lot of wisdom in it. But if people are able to understand how this information actually serves them, they can get way more information and wisdom out of the religious texts if they can understand how the universal principles work. And that's one of the things that I'm working on. That's why I asked this question, because I'm very passionate about like helping people step up a bit with those information to kind of realize new things about themselves. And I feel like it's going to help them with their growth.
In both our cultures, both the Assyrian culture, my culture, or my human avatar's culture, and your culture, the Armenian culture, there is a lot of, and understandably, because of what our cultures have experienced, there is a lot of victimhood. There is a lot of focus on victimhood. Okay, it permeates, and so you bringing the awareness that what we are is all masterful creators, even in incarnations where we experience victimhood. We are ultimately designed to experience the opposite end of that, which is why we experience victimhood and then ultimately experience ourselves as creators. So you bring so that we can understand ourselves in totality as creators. So you bringing the awareness of ourselves, especially in cultures where there is such an emphasis on victimhood and such an emphasis on disempowerment, you bringing the awareness, there's no more important work that is being done on this planet, I assure you. So I honor you. I appreciate you very much, and nobody's doing more important work than you're doing. I appreciate you, Arin, and I appreciate you for having me, and I thank you for having me. It's been an honor to
Of
be on the show.
course, it's a pleasure to have you on. Any closing words? What's a quote that you live by? And we're going to wrap it up.
The quote I live by is, "Creation is finished." Understand that you already are everything. You are already everything that you desire to be. Time is an illusion. Creation is finished. You are everything that you ever desired yourself to be. You already are. Keep that in mind, and everything will unfold as it should.
Perfect. I appreciate you for coming on. I learned a lot, and I know viewers learned a lot. So I think it was a success.
Bless you, brother. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it very much.
Of
God bless
course.
you.
Take care.